Welcome to Season 1, Episode 1 of the Country Hipster Podcast. My name is Paul. This is my brother Adam.
Hey guys.
Hopefully by this point you have checked out the pilot episode that we posted. We had it up there for a few weeks before launching this one. And you have an idea of what we're doing here, which is basically we're talking about vinyl records and records we like and music in general. We should have had some little intro music there, so hopefully you enjoyed that. The intro music is Dirty Knife by the band Unholy Four. They're out of Charlottesville, Virginia. They're good friends of mine, and if you check them out on Spotify or Bandcamp and Instagram, look for the Unholy Four. You can check out their stuff, buy their merch, listen to their music, and if you're down in the Charlottesville, Virginia area, go check out the Unholy Four as well. So, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome.
Thanks, man.
All right. So, most important part of the podcast, and shit, did I not bring the opener over?
That's all right. I
you got an opener.
I carry like 6 openers on me at all times.
Is the what are you drinking portion
to save from the constant jingle of my keys? I'm just gonna open up this one.
All right, cool. So you don't have a choice for this first beer. We have, as if you've seen on our YouTube page the content that I posted, my son Jack and I like doing a little bit of home brewing, and this is our Irish Blonde Ale that we recently brewed. I did a taste test of it and did a taste test video of it and posted it to the YouTube page as well as the TikTok, which is you can follow at the Country Hipster. And I gave my thoughts.
What's on my glass?
Oh, you'll see once you pour it in.
Okay, because yours is Boba Fett.
Mine is clearly Boba Fett.
I can tell yours is Boba Fett.
Yes.
I'm slightly confused on what mine is.
Oh, you'll see. You'll see. So, I did have one other person try. Well, actually, there's been more than one other people who've tried it, but in my presence, I've only had one other person try the Irish Blonde. So you are the second person I get to see try it, and I want your honest thoughts and your honest opinions on your thoughts on the Weiss family homebrew of the Irish Blonde.
You're not saving your caps.
No, no, you can't reuse the caps anyway.
I say because the Leatherman bottle opener kind of fucking destroys caps.
Yeah. So what we can do with home brewing, and if you are a home brewer, you will know this as well. We can reuse certain bottles. So these bottles are good for it. We cannot reuse the bottles that you twist.
Okay.
So because you have to cap them all. So there you go. Do you see who it is now? It's Darth Vader.
Oh, now I see it. Yeah,
it's Darth Vader. There
it's
you
a
go.
weird fucking profile, but I see it.
Yeah, it is. It is. So go ahead.
It smells good.
It smells good. All right.
It has like it's good.
Mm-hmm.
But it has like a. Do you ever like? I'm kind of a beer snob. Well, people call me a beer snob, but it has like a flavor to it, but I can't figure out what it's kind of almost like on a fruity note, but
It has a banana.
Oh, okay. Then
profile to it.
I was saying because I
Yes.
definitely taste like
Yes.
a fruitiness, but I can't figure out what the fuck it is.
So that was not necessarily on purpose. We didn't do anything in the brew to like give it a banana flavor.
And you know what the thing is? It's not like if you eat like a banana Laffy Taffy,
Yeah.
where it's that artificial banana flavor. I think that's why I can't figure it out is because most things that have that banana flavor
It's that fake
is
banana.
the artificial.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, that banana flavor isn't fake.
Really?
I learned this actually. The flavor, like if you eat banana flavored candy or whatever, the banana flavor that they use is like super super banana-y. It's actually a banana species that has since gone extinct.
Oh wow!
And like that's what the flavor. That's the banana thing. But this is like if you're eating like an actual banana.
Okay. So to start off the podcast, Adam is drinking the Irish Blonde, which was brewed right here at the Ottsville Record Garage. Well, in my kitchen at the Ottsville Record Garage of my house. I am drinking my favorite Irish stout, Murphy's Irish Stout. I do love me some Guinness. I love Guinness. I just love Murphy's that much more.
I'm just interested. You don't pour that has a widget in it.
Has a widget in it. It does give the directions to angle it.
No, I don't angle it.
Yeah. Okay.
When I pour, because I'll have one of those next, and I'll show you how I pour them. I
Okay.
pour them in a way that looks like it's going to cause a mess, but it's actually it works perfectly every time.
No. With the Murphys, even if I get like the Guinness cans, I'll just do a straight pour and let it do its thing. And as you can see, I got Boba Fett. on my
Yeah,
Star
see.
Wars etched glasses.
I drank some of mine, but
Yes.
there is a Vader on
Darth
that.
Vader on there. So yes, so that is what we were drinking for our first drink here on the Country Hipster podcast from the Ottsville Record Garage, and I do love me the Murphy's Irish Stout. It's just like
I enjoy Murphy's as well.
you get that little bit of bite that you get with Guinness, which is not bad. I do like the bitterness that you get with Guinness, but this is like you have a little bit of that bite, and it's just fucking smooth and creamy and delicious and very drinkable, and so that's that. So what have you been up to?
Nothing. What the fuck have I been up to? I've been working. I work too much. I work Tuesday through Saturday, and I feel like my day. I work overnight, so my days all blur together. Today's our sister's birthday.
Oh yes, it is.
I completely forgot. I was taking a shit earlier, and in my head it was Sunday, and then I was like, no, I'm going to Paul's later to record. Today's Monday. Today's Kylie's birthday. I texted her and said, hey, I was taking a shit and completely forgot it was Monday. My bad. Happy birthday.
Well, yes, happy birthday to our sister Kylie. So you thought about our sister while you were shitting, and that's how you realized it was her birthday. Me, I'm an asshole. I saw our brother Michael post on her Facebook, happy birthday, Kylie. I went, oh, I guess it's Kylie's birthday. And so I went and checked her Facebook and then said, oh, okay. I don't really do like the whole like Facebook happy birthday because like I actually know not that many people who are on my friends list, so like whatever, like, but if I actually personally know you, I'll just send you a text. So I did text her. I was like, yeah, happy birthday. I didn't say anything mean this time, which is a little unusual for me.
Paul also has a history of not knowing people's birthdays.
Yes, that's true.
The one time so when our brother Zach turned 21, Paul took him to the AOH in Bristol.
Let's actually wait before we get too far into this. For people who don't know us, which isn't like many at this point because we have 11 subscribers to our YouTube channel, so which I hope you go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are, well, he'll tell me his exact age, but we are in the teens years apart. So I'm season 1. Adam is in season 2. We talked about that in the pilot episode as well, so you can get caught up on that. We're not going to get too into it, but we are a generation between us, pretty much. So, but go on.
So when our brother Zach, who is the oldest of season 2, turned 21, he was telling me that Paul took him to the AOH in Bristol, and he was telling me like it was like a members only type place, and I turned 21 and I didn't hear anything from Paul. And I was like, all right, I get it. And Paul doesn't like me. And then when I turned, like, I would say it was probably like 2 or 3 weeks before I turned 22, Paul was playing at the Bristol AOH again. And I texted him and said, hey, am I going to have an issue getting in? Because to my knowledge, it was a members only type place. And he's like, oh, yeah, don't worry. If they give you shit about the 21 thing, just tell them you're with me. I was like, what are you talking about, the 21 thing? And he's like, you're not 21 yet. I'm like, I turned 21 almost a year ago. I'll be 22 in a little less than a month. And he's like, oh, shit. I'm like, all right, well, at least now I know that it's not that Paul doesn't like me enough to take me out for my 21st birthday. It's just he's a fucking idiot.
Yes. I don't put years together. I don't put dates together. I get all my kids, all 4 of my kids. I know their birth dates. I know when they were born and whatnot. Everybody else, I kind of put it into like, oh, well, this is like this time of my life where you came around, but I couldn't tell you exactly the date or the, I know you're the 14th.
Yeah.
I know that, but that's because I know like 10 other people whose birthdays all fall on your birthday.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you've not been up to much. I've actually been very busy lately. If you guys don't know this,
tis the season.
Tis the season. So we are on the Monday after St. Patrick's Day. We are filming this. We do film our episodes. We try to get a couple weeks in advance before launching them, just so that we don't end up missing any time. You know, if something comes up, because I'm married with 4 kids, and one of them's a newborn, and Adam's got 3 kids that he knows of, and a girlfriend with 3 other kids that he knows of, and so we get busy. So our goal is to do this every week, and but sometimes life will happen. So we are recording some episodes in advance, so that way we can stay up and have a new episode, fresh material for you every week, with hopefully without any gaps. But that might happen. But at any rate, so we are filming this the Monday after St. Patrick's Day, 2023. As I mentioned in the pilot, I am in a Irish rock band, called the Birmingham Six, as well as I play solo shows as well most of the year. But yes, so we just finished up St. Patrick's Day, and it was a good time. We did 2 parades and a bunch of shows, and as is the case every year, St. Patrick's Day is a shit show. The only reason I go out on St. Patrick's Day is because I'm getting paid to be there. But no, we played some cool places this year. On St. Patrick's Day itself, we, if you're familiar with the South Jersey area, the band played at the Dooney's pubs. There's a location in Delran, New Jersey, and a location in Voorhees, New Jersey, and we played the Delran one in the early afternoon and the Voorhees in the evening. Ultimately, we were done by 9 o'clock. I was home before midnight, so I was happy. I was happy about that. It was a good time. It was a overall pretty good St. Patrick's Day. We had the full band. There's actually only 5 of us in the Birmingham Six. If you don't know what the Birmingham Six is, you should look it up if you want some education on some recent Irish history. If you don't care, then that's fine. Don't look it up. Fuck you too. I don't care.
How recent was it? Wasn't it like...
Well, okay. All right. So I'll just get into it. So the Birmingham Six, the reason we named the band the Birmingham Six, even though we don't have 6 members, is we named the band after the 6 men in Ireland who were wrongly accused and convicted of the Birmingham pub bombings in 1974.
I was gonna say, I was almost 100% certain that the incident in question took place in the 70s.
Yes. Yep. And it was the Birmingham Six and then the Guildford Four, which the story about Jerry Conlon who was a member of the Guildford Four, became the movie In the Name of the Father, starring Daniel Day-Lewis, which is a great movie. But yes, so that's, and they eventually found that they actually didn't do the bombings at all. The Birmingham Six and the Guildford Four, and I believe it was the McGuire 12 or the McGuire 15, that were all convicted of these crimes. None of them had anything to do with it, and they had evidence about it all along and knew that they were innocent, but they still spent almost 20 years in jail and were released. And so that's why we named the band Birmingham Six. So there you go. So that's why there are not 6 members in the Birmingham Six. There's only 5. Sometimes there's only 4. And if you see me solo, I'm usually only one person, depending on the day. So
yeah, I think I've seen you guys play where it's just you. I forget your bass player's name.
James.
Yep. You, James, and I forget your drummer's name too.
Brian.
I've seen the majority of the time I've seen you guys, it's just you, James, and Brian.
Right.
Because if I remember correctly, the other guitar player's James's brother, isn't it?
Yes. Yep. Barry's James's brother.
He lives far out, and doesn't he have he's got a fancy job, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. I don't know if I'm allowed to say what his job is.
That's fine. But I know he has his job is more important than my job. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
So I know he doesn't always have, and then I know Joe,
the fiddle player,
is doesn't he teach?
He teaches a little bit. Joe, if you ever get a chance to check it out, my fiddle player is on YouTube, giving lessons about music and musicality, and also the Alexandra technique. I don't know if it's something you're familiar about, but look up Joseph Arnold, violin on YouTube, and also I believe other social media. And if you're a musician, you have pain playing music, he can help you be pain free. He has actually helped me a lot too with some of the methods. But yeah, he's a full-fledged professional musician.
Yeah, when I always laugh I'm a musician in the sense that I can play instruments, but Joe's a Joe's a musician.
Yeah, Joe's like, yeah, you know, he's the real deal. Which is funny because now that
like Joe could probably like explain to me music theory.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like I don't know shit about theory.
Yeah,
I used to be able to read music, kind of. Can't do it anymore because I'm out of practice. But like he's an actual musician. I'm just like I know how to play instruments.
Yeah, so it's funny. So like since I, you know, it's you know, how do you say what's a professional and what's not? In my mind, if you're getting paid to do it, you're a professional, right? So now that I've quit my job at the end of January, I left my job as a supply chain manager, and now I play music. So I consider myself a professional musician. I mean, I've been getting paid to play music for years, but now that's actually, unless Ottsville Record Garage actually takes off, which you should go check out, ottsvillerecordgarage.com. I'm a professional musician, and that's basically my main source of income. And I don't make very much money, but my wife is awesome and lets me do it and take care of our beautiful baby, and we go from there. So, but yes. So if you saw at the end of the pilot episode that we have our box of Michael right here. It's all Rush all the time for our brother Michael, crudely made.
Banging tables with candles on it.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Thankful it's off camera, so you didn't see that. Adam almost burnt down the Ottsville Record Garage.
Maybe that could steep it in musical lore.
Could it could.
The record store that the record store that never was.
It never was because it burnt down during the filming of a weird podcast in someone's garage.
A cow kicked a lantern and fucking.
We burnt down all of Ottsville. Actually, it's possible in this area, because where I live in Ottsville is in Upper Bucks County, Pennsylvania, that a cow literally could probably kick over a lantern and like start like some crazy fire that goes over like 100 acres of land.
I say there's a lot of trees around here.
There are a lot of trees around
and I'm
here.
assuming all the firefighting companies up here are volunteer, which means the majority of them aren't at the station. They got to get the call to then go to the station to then get their gear on to then go to the fire. So you'd be fucked.
I will tell you, one of my it's funny. One of my favorite things about living up here, specifically in Ottsville, is I'm a member of the Ottsville, Pennsylvania Facebook group, right? And it is so fucking easy to trigger people.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's like stupid shit. Like, so like, yes, it's a volunteer fire company over here, which is awesome. And excuse me, they're like on the other side of the road from me, like not like right there, but like, you know, we have a big road. We have 611 separating me and the fire company. But anytime they go out, they're close enough that as soon as they play their sirens, I can hear it. So like, people always just like to bitch about like the stupidest shit on there.
I'll tell you a story in a minute. Continue.
But I go on, right? I hear the sirens. I can just go on the Facebook page. I'm like, hearing sirens on 611. What's going on? And then you get this thread of like 30 people. Oh, yeah, everybody has their theory of what it is. And oh my God, people should drive slower. And oh, I hope everybody's. Yeah. It's the funniest fucking thing. So I like doing that every now and then when I hear the sirens. It could be like the stupidest thing. I'm like, oh, I hear sirens. And it sets people off. It's great.
I still have the app on my phone. It's this app called Nextdoor, where it's basically you put in your zip code and it's basically just a Facebook page, not on Facebook, for your neighborhood. So people will post like yard sale shit, people will post like bitching about their neighbors on it and stuff like that. But like the one thing I've learned is that like the majority of people in the area where I used to live have never heard an actual gunshot before. They've only ever heard gunshots on movies and TV and stuff. So any type of loud bang is a gunshot.
Well, it's funny. It's okay. So it's funny you say that, right? So I grew up in Philadelphia, right? I was born in Philadelphia, grew up in Philadelphia, did not live outside of Philadelphia until I moved in with Katie, which was 4 years ago. And that was just in Bensalem, which if anybody says like, oh, I live in Bensalem, like I'm from Philadelphia, but I live in Bensalem, you're not from Philly, asshole. You live in Bensalem. So Bensalem is outside of Philadelphia, just outside of Philadelphia, but outside of Philadelphia. And I actually realized after moving up here, I never heard gunshots at all living in Philadelphia. Yeah. I hear them every fucking day up here, though. Constantly I'm hearing gunshots.
Yeah, so, people would be constantly posting on this fucking people on those types of things hate fireworks with a passion.
Oh yes.
So it's constantly just like fireworks are going off and people are like, "Is that gunshots?" I'm like, "No,
that's fireworks.
So it was like 4th of July one year, and I went on there. I was like, I've been drinking and I'm bored. And fuck these people. So like, there's fireworks going off, and they were like, "Is that gunshots?" I thought this was such a nice neighborhood to live in. And people are like, "Yeah," like some people got what I was doing, but then other people were like, "I'm pretty sure it's the 4th of July, sir." Yeah. And then people were like on my bandwagon, like, "Oh my god, that's terrible!" Like, there goes the neighborhood.
That's great.
Some woman, it was like Halloween one year was on a Wednesday, and this woman wrote on there, she's like, "When do kids in Ben Salem trick or treat?" And I'm like, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is, they trick or treat. So I just quickly wrote on her December 4th, just to be an asshole. And then like, I made my good joke, and then everyone else started just typing in random dates, and it was really bugging me because people were like, "Oh, December 25th." I'm like, no,
come on, that's Christmas, asshole.
Yeah, it's like fuck you guys.
Yes,
I had my funny bit. You guys are taking it and ruining it. But yeah, it's fun to fuck with people on those types of websites. It
is, especially when you have like nothing invested. You're just like, whatever, I don't fucking care.
Yeah, if you don't got a dog in the fight, it's really fucking fun to just screw around on those pages.
So after getting a sidetrack from almost burning down the Ottsville Record Garage there for a second, from the box of box of Michael. Sorry, Brian's the dead guy. From the I think it's going to be an official thing. Whenever we talk about someone dead on the podcast, or we mention that someone's dead, we got to drink a toast to him. So, to Brian. I think it's the second time we're drinking to Brian.
Probably.
And I'm out of beer, so I need another one.
Can you get me one of those Murphys?
You want a Murph's?
Yeah.
All right. Here's Murphy's for you.
Just so I can show you how to pour one properly.
Oh, thanks. And I am actually going to go with the Irish Blonde myself.
All right. So all you guys watching at home, you take your Murphys, you take your glass.
Oh, yeah. No, I've seen that, too.
And you just let it sit.
Yeah.
In a second, it'll equalize and stop pouring.
Oh, yeah.
And then you literally just lift the can straight out. And it gives you the perfect pour every fucking time.
Yeah. That's what they usually do in like when if you go to like concert venues or sporting events and they have like the Guinness in cans. They basically do it the same way because they're so like fucking just busy trying to take care of everybody.
That's the thing. I always feel bad when I go to a bar, like when I go to bars with Katie and she's like, "What are you drinking?" And I have to look real quick. I'm like, 9 times out of 10 if I'm going to a bar and if they have Guinness on tap, I'm drinking Guinness.
Excuse me.
So I always feel bad ordering a Guinness because Guinness takes a while to pour.
Well, if you pour it right.
If you pour it right, it takes longer than a normal beer to pour.
Yep.
So I always feel bad ordering a Guinness, but not because fuck you, I like Guinness. Don't have it on tap if you're not willing to fucking pour it.
Right.
What I really feel bad is every once in a while I'll get half and halves.
Oh, yeah, no, you're an asshole.
And I was like, oh,
well, so it
they
depends.
fucking hate me.
It depends on the bar and depends on how busy they are.
Well, that's the thing. I won't order a half and half if they're busy. Me and Zach, our brother Zach, used to go to Patty Wax Welsh at like 9 o'clock on Tuesdays. There would be no one in there but me, him, and the bartender.
So order
and I'd order a half and half.
Yeah.
But like, and I would always, I'm the type of person who like people. What they say? Like when you go to a restaurant with a big party, like gratuity is always included. Yeah. It's like 15%.
Yeah.
I don't like when I tip. My tips start at 20.
Right.
So like I always tip well.
Yes. You should.
Tip well enough that when I go to bars that I would frequent, they would walk immediately over to me when I sat down because they know that I take care of them if they take care of me.
Yep.
So yeah, fuck them. Like it's delicious.
Yep. So back to it. Now we keep getting sidetracked. We took from the box of Michael.
Oh, see, it looks even better. It looks even better with the fucking with a dark beer.
It does look cool. So we took from the box of Michael, random envelope that was numbered, and that is how we are picking what the next episode is. And we picked the first episode for season 1, episode 1, and we have Bright Eyes. I'm wide awake. It's morning.
I wish I prepared because this is actually one of the albums that I could have also. This is on Paul's list.
Yes, this
is an album that I could have also had on my list.
Well, if you want to go grab yours, and I'll talk about the album a little bit there. So this is my personal copy. This album was originally released in January of 2005 on Saddle Creek Records, and it was produced by Mike Mogus. See, we actually have two different versions of this, the same album. Yours is probably...
Which I really want... I'm interested now to figure out which one of ours is older, and B, which one of ours is worth more money.
Yours is older. We'll get into the value of it later on in the podcast, but yours is older. Mine, I know that it is the 2016 remastered version, which was remastered by Bob Ludwig, and we will also get into that a little bit as well. So there are some differences between the two. So,
your shit's... You have too much plastic on it. I was trying to see if to see if it had a newer copyright date on it, but it's covered by shit.
Yeah, so it's still gonna be the same copyright, 2005. So because that's when it came out. That's when the album.
No,
came
but
out.
I was curious if it would have a more recent date on it as well.
Well, so yeah, so the reason, so that Adam can't see what he sees when I have my personal records. I don't keep all of my records in a poly sleeve. This one I do keep in a poly sleeve. Not really sure why I put this one in a poly sleeve, but I do. I do try, when I get my personal records, when I open them up, I try to keep them in the shrink if possible.
I try to do that as well.
You know, this guy has a little spine sleeve here, so I wanted to make sure that didn't get lost, because once I take the shrink off, I'm losing the spine sleeve. I know that. I know there's people who will say, "Oh no, you got to take the shrink off because you're going to end up wearing the cover. You're going to get some ring wear. You know what I mean?" It's like, whatever. I'm going to get ring wear anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
you know what I also like? I like trying to keep the shrink wrap on there because a lot of times, like for instance, I brought it back to my girlfriend's, but Seasons in the Abyss, I like it. There's a few records in my collection where when you pull them out, they still have the shrink wrap on them, and they still have the price tag on them.
Yes.
I like having the price tag on there. One of the albums that's on my list that'll come up in the future had like things written on it from the record store I bought it from, which we'll discuss because the thing is actually kind of interesting.
Okay.
So I like to keep that on there. It's for the same thing. Like there's some that I have that have like the promotional stickers on them and shit. And the things that say like, oh, it comes with a free MP3 download when you buy the album. Or
Yep. So, but yeah, so I was psyched. You know, it's a great album. You know, it's the 5th studio album by Bright Eyes / Connor Arpst.
Is that how you pronounce his name?
Herbst.
I always say Oberst.
Maybe it is Oberst. I'm a dyslexic, illiterate bastard.
That's true.
So. Not that all dyslexics are illiterate, just me.
No.
This did peak at 10 on the Billboard 200 when it came out in 2005.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And number 2 on the Billboard Independent charts. Rolling Stone magazine named it number 50 of the top 100 records of the decade. So that's kind of the facts behind the album. I said my personal copy is a 2016 remastered pressing of the album. So the reason I got it, besides the fact that I just like the album, that's when I was working on Internet Record Exchange, and I had a partner. One of my partners there was actually going to see Bright Eyes at the Union Transfer in Philly, and he wasn't that into Bright Eyes like this album, which I'll talk about that in a second as well. But Dawes was opening up for him at this concert, so he was more into Dawes at the time, but he really liked this album. I really like this album. I will say that I have tried to listen to other Bright Eyes stuff, and I think it's all shit.
Spoiler alert: he's gonna have to listen to some more Bright Eye shit for this podcast.
I know. So. I'm not looking forward to it. But no. So like this album's solid. But like he went to see.
Can I pause you for a second?
Yeah.
Have you listened to Connor Oberst, wherever the fuck you pronounce his last name? Have you listened to his 2 what they consider his solo albums?
Yep.
How do you feel about those?
Shit.
Okay.
Shit. It's consistent shit.
It's weird
in my opinion.
It's weird to me that like he has solo albums.
Yeah, no.
Because Bright Eyes, my understanding of what Bright Eyes is Bright Eyes is him writing music, and then he has a bunch of different people who randomly travel with them, record with them, perform with them.
Yep.
So in reality, technically, it's him.
Yeah, but there's.
But does he write everything? That's the thing I don't know.
I'm not 100% sure
Yeah.
of that either. But that is the thing. That's the difference between, the artist and the business part of it. So it's like, when you look at artists like, well, hold on. Let me go back to my other story.
Yeah,
then
sorry.
we'll get into
Continue.
We'll get into that. You're sidetrack me. We're
Sorry.
going to with a 3-hour podcast again. But anyway, so he went to see Dawes, which was kind of cool as they were opening for Bright Eyes, and they finished their set, and they go, so I know you guys are really excited about Bright Eyes. We're not going anywhere because we're Bright Eyes band for the night. And then Connor came out and did the thing. And that's, but like he was getting ready to go to the thing. We were talking about this album and how this is the album I like. And he likes more of their albums, but agreed that this is probably his best album. And, so that's why I had bought this. Like I said, but this particular one is not the 2005. It's not an original pressing. It is a 2016 remastered version, and it was remastered by Bob Ludwig. And he is a master engineer who has worked with over 1,300 artists. Most notably, this guy, and I didn't even realize this, like, and how, like, kind of cool this kind of was, especially when you think of, like, an indie rock artist. He's worked with Led Zeppelin, Lou Reed, Queen, Jimi Hendrix, Nirvana. He's worked with Springsteen, Daft Punk, and remastered a bunch of the Bright Eyes albums. Basically all like the early classic Bright Eyes albums, as they consider them. He's won a bunch of Grammys, and he's also been nominated for just as many Grammys that he's lost as many Grammys as he's won, as way to look at it. But
I keep looking at my beard in the thing.
the thing, yeah, it looks good.
No, I
looks good.
keep seeing like the light hits it, so like I keep seeing like what looks like gray but isn't. It's just like the lighter section of my beard that the light.
It'll get gray.
Dude, no,
soon.
trust me,
Don't
there's
worry.
gray in there.
Yeah.
There's a shit ton of gray in there, but these parts right here are just blonder than the rest, and
Right.
the light hitting it makes it worse.
So back to that, like what I was saying. So there's a difference between like the artist part of it and then the business part of music. So like, being a band it's a weird dynamic sometimes, right? Especially, I've never gotten famous, obviously, you know what I mean? Like I have one song that I get a very little bit of like notoriety for, which means I get a royalty check for $25 every year. But move on.
Oh,
Yeah, but but it's not even really like a thing, right? So it's so minute. It's not a thing. But when you get into these like bigger things, like these actual like artists, who make it huge, man, they're so like the business end of this is so weird. But that's why you have like, bands like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, right? So they've all put out solo albums. They put out Tom Petty and the Heartbreaker albums, and then there's Tom Petty albums. There's Bruce Springsteen albums, and there's Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band albums. It's all Tom Petty, it's all Bruce Springsteen, but business-wise, it's a different dynamic. Even thing with Elvis Costello. You have Elvis Costello and the Attractions, Elvis Costello and the Imposters, and then you have Elvis Costello. And it's just how it breaks down. Sometimes there's a difference in sound. Sometimes it's like the same thing, but like there's infighting in the band, or maybe they just don't want to split money. You know what I mean? But they're at a point where like, well, I'm doing all this work anyway. I just want to keep the money for myself for these couple of things. And ultimately, it breaks down differently. Weird story about something like that, which is cool because I have an autographed movie poster from him. Alice Cooper, right? So I don't know if most people know this, but a lot of people know this. I actually did not notice this or know this until I was working on the distribution of the movie Super Duper Alice Cooper, which is a rockumentary about Alice Cooper.
it's a great fucking name.
It is. It was actually when I was in the movie industry for about 5 years as a trafficking manager, and it was actually the first film that I got to work on, from a distribution standpoint from beginning to end. It was the first project I got to work on when I started there. So I'm like, oh man, this job's gonna be fucking cool, man. We're gonna do shit like fucking Super Duper Alice Cooper and like fucking shit like that. And then the next thing we put out was the fucking Pirates of Penzance. Nice. So yeah, exactly. So it went downhill real fast.
Equally as metal as fuck.
Equally as metal as Alice Cooper. But so what I didn't realize at that time until I saw the movie was that Alice Cooper was a band. It was the name of the band was Alice Cooper, and it was the 5 guys or 4 guys, whatever it was. Also didn't realize that their first album was produced by Frank Zappa, which was also kind of cool too. But ultimately the band started going different ways, and the singer, who is now Alice Cooper, pulled a straight fucking power move because he didn't own the band.
Yeah.
Right? He didn't own Alice Cooper, but everybody thought he was Alice Cooper. So he legally changed his name to Alice Cooper because the rest of the band, as they were breaking up, was like, well, you can't take the name Alice Cooper with you. So he's like, all right, well, fuck you, and he went and changed his name to Alice Cooper. And they're like, what are you going to tell me? I can't. He legally changed it. And they're like, what are you telling me? I can't use my own name. And so that's. The rest of the band was like, motherfucker, and because they knew they couldn't do anything, and then he kept going on, and as Alice Cooper. So funny. I actually worked on the first movie I worked on with that company, and the last movie I worked on with that company. Both had fucking Alice Cooper in it.
What was the last one?
Well, the first one was Super Duper Alice Cooper. The last one that we put out as a company was Wayne's World. We did.
That's right.
We did the 21st anniversary of Wayne's World. Wayne and Garth's 21st birthday, and Alice Cooper has that part in Wayne's World, which I actually like. But anyway, back to Bright Eyes.
Back to this album we're covering.
So, what are your thoughts? What are your personal thoughts on "I'm Wide Awake It's Morning"?
All right, so "I'm Wide Awake It's Morning" came out while I was in high school. I was introduced to Bright Eyes by a girl that I was dating in high school. I think I want to say that this album was the first album by Bright Eyes that I heard, followed very closely by the other album that he released on the same exact day. And I've always enjoyed Bright Eyes. The thing that kind of blew my mind was one time while seeing Paul play solo, Paul played a Bright Eyes song off of this album, which blew my mind because Paul has always been very vocal about the music that our brother Zach and I listen to, and how much he hates it and he loves to ridicule it. So when
part of that's just older brother fun,
no,
though, you know.
No, I know. So like, but when Paul started playing a Bright Eyes song, I was like, I didn't know Paul knew who Bright Eyes was, and B, Bright Eyes is to me is like the epitome of one of the things that Zach and I listened to that Paul would make fun of us for. So the fact that like Paul was playing a Bright Eyes song and is B now likes a Bright Eyes song enough to include it in his 25 is ridiculous to me. This album and Digital Ash and Digital Urn were both released on the same day. I really enjoy both of those albums. I enjoy a bunch of other individual songs by Bright Eyes. I probably haven't listened. I've probably only listened to Bright Eyes, technical Bright Eyes albums, 3 full Bright Eyes albums. This, Digital Ash, and Casadega.
Okay.
And
so this is the only one I could say I've listened to all the way through, because the rest of them I got to turn off and do all the fucking album because I'm like, this sucks.
That being said, I do really enjoy Conor Oberst's first solo album. I believe is called Sausalito.
Beats me.
Yeah. So I've been a fan of Bright Eyes since high school. I had a friend in high school who used to refer to she liked Bright Eyes, didn't know what it was called, but would refer to it as the one where the guy sounds like a goat. That's how she would always.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah, that's how she would always refer to refer to Bright Eyes as.
That's pretty accurate.
So yeah, I've always enjoyed Bright Eyes. I got my first acoustic guitar when I was in high school, and learned how to play a few Bright Eyes songs directly after that. Actually, today before I started driving up to Paul's, I was actually playing a couple songs off this album. I've always enjoyed it. I'm in my knowledge, the mythos that I've always heard is that like Conor Oberst has always been regarded as like one of those like boy genius musicians type things, where like he's like he shouldn't be able to write shit that he writes at his age, that kind of bullshit.
Okay.
Like he's like he's a prodigy,
old soul,
like a prodigy type thing.
Okay.
I don't know the fuck about that. But I mean, I've always enjoyed I've just always enjoyed Bright Eyes. Like I said, this was probably the first Bright Eyes album I listened to.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the first song I ever heard by Bright Eyes was on this album was Road to Joy.
Okay.
And the only reason I heard that is because I think our brother Zach was like, "Hey, listen to this. It's like that fucking Beethoven song."
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I've always enjoyed it, and I've always been surprised that Paul knows this album because I thought Paul would have made fun of me for knowing this album.
No, this album I don't. My introduction to this album, because I tried listening to some Bright Eyes stuff in the early 2000s, and I just couldn't get into it. I just wasn't into it. I try not to be closed-minded with music. So I will generally try to listen to anything, especially if someone who I generally respect as a musician or just their opinion on music says, "Hey, you should check this out," even if it's something that I wouldn't normally listen to, which one of those albums is in my top 25. If someone said, "Hey, you should listen to this album," and I was just like, "Really?
No.
Should I?" And I fucking love the album, which we'll get into later when we possibly pick that episode. Well, we will pick that episode at some point, but
it'll
yes.
get there.
But that's one of those albums, and so like people are like, "Oh, you should check out Bright Eyes." I tried to listen to Bright Eyes. I just couldn't fucking get into it.
No.
And then my friend, who I actually this is totally my fault. I don't know. It just is what it is. So I have a friend, Frank, who is the singer of a band, another Irish band, in the Philadelphia area called Jameson Celtic Rock, and I know that this album is one of his all-time favorite albums. And I originally said, "Hey, with episode 1, season 1, when we pulled this, I sent him a text like, we're doing the podcast. First album is Bright Eyes. I'm Wide Awake. Do you want to be on the podcast?" And he was like, "Fuck yeah, I do." And then St. Patrick's Day happened. As I mentioned, we are recording this 3 days after St. Patrick's Day. So his band is very, very busy. My band was very busy. Everything just kind of like, oh God, it's been 2 weeks since we actually, filmed the pilot. So I totally dropped the ball and forgot to follow up on him. He also didn't follow up with me, which means that he's probably fucking exhausted too, knowing what their schedule is and my schedule. So I apologize.
Yeah, I can imagine that like the week after St. Patrick's Day for an Irish band is like just like a week-long hangover.
Kind of is. Yeah, I'm still feeling it a bit. I don't drink on St. Patrick's Day. Like I had a beer on St. Patrick's Day. I had a beer at 10 a.m. and I had a beer at 9 p.m. when I was done playing. Yeah. And I don't drink in between because it's too much work. And now living, so far away from the areas I'm playing, it's just not worth driving after having a few beers. But at any rate, so I did mean to have Frank on the podcast for this episode. Had it been picked later on, he probably would be here, but he's not. So I apologize, Frank, if you're watching this. But Frank is actually the one who turned me on to this album, because he, in his solo shows, would cover We Are Nowhere and It's Now. And he would preface, and it's funny because like Frank and I have known each other since high school. We went to high school together. And he would preface before he played the song, like, I'm going to play the song by a band called Bright Eyes. And it's off this one album that is the only good album that Bright Eyes ever put out.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I can't, now that you said it, I was thinking about it. I don't remember what song you played by him, but now that I think about it, it may have been "We Are Nowhere."
It might have been. It might have been. Yeah. Yeah. So at first I was like, maybe I need to give him another shot. And I didn't. I just didn't. But I did like that song, and like hearing Frank play it in his solo shows. And then I was dating a girl who I ended up telling her the story. I guess I was dating or whatever we were doing for 8 years. Of not dating until we weren't dating.
No. It's confusing.
It is. I think it was confusing to a lot of people. Yeah. But at any rate, she had said, "Oh no, that is a really good album. You'd probably like it. Here, take a listen to it on my iPad or my iPod, whatever." So I was like, "All right, fuck it. Yeah, I'll give it another shot."
iPod Shuffle.
Yes, the iPod Shuffle. Yeah. So I was like, "All right, let me give it a shot," because at the time I was living in Fishtown in Philadelphia, but I was working up in Doylestown, and I had many car problems. So I would take basically it would take me 2 hours to get to work because of the train schedule. So I had a lot of time to kill to and from work with the regional rail, because only so many go from Philadelphia to Doylestown. They usually stop in Lansdale. So I was like, fuck it, I'll give it a shot. And so it's funny you mentioned Road to Joy. It, in my opinion, number one, let me just say, in my opinion, this album is great. It really is, from beginning to end, great album. It's one of those albums that, and this is one of the things I love about a great album, is that everything fits. Every single song fits.
I agree.
They all go together, and it goes down to the order from like the beginning to the end. And like, yeah, there might be a good song like towards the end of the album, but that's where it needed to be on the, you know, basically the set list of the album. And this is one of those albums, and it's an album that, like, as a musician, to me sounds like it. And I have no knowledge of this, but I feel as if this album was written very easily. Like one of those albums that just happened. Like I have a feeling that, like, you know, he sat down and he just started writing songs, and then like 3 days later, boom, I have a fucking album worth of music to go and record. But the first song and the last song are my least favorite songs on the album.
I was thinking, like, we talked to me and our brother Zach talked about this. We covered on our podcast on Summer Movie Club. We don't just cover movies; we also have covered some TV shows. One of which being we covered the controversial last season of Game of Thrones. And we were talking about how people regard Game of Thrones as one of the best TV shows ever. So, but by default, even if you have a group of something that's the best that's ever been created, by default, one of them has to be the worst.
Right.
There's only one song on this album which I don't really care for, but it's still it's like you said, it's still a good song. It's still the worst song on this album is still better than the best song on some albums.
Yep. What song is that?
Train Underwater.
Okay. All right.
I just don't. It's just. I will get to it in a minute. I took notes on it, but my note for it is literally just it's boring. It just bores me. Like it drags on, and it just, to me, it just by the time the song's done. So the way I took my notes for this podcast, the way I'm going to take my notes for this podcast is I listen to the album all the way through. And every time a new song comes on, I write down my initial thought that comes to mind with the song. And then I listen to it again, focusing more on the lyrics of it. And I'm going to write down my favorite lyric from the song. My note for this song was, it seems like the song goes on forever. And it literally took me the entirety of the song to find the lyric that I wanted to write down. And it was literally the first lyric of the song.
Okay.
It just, for some reason, like, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad song. It's just my least favorite song on the album.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's funny. It's, you know, that's naturally my least favorite are the first song and the last song. Road to Joy and
At the Bottom of Everything.
At the Bottom of Everything is the first song, which, you know, even the story in the beginning, I know, like, apparently that's like his thing where he like talks at the beginning of his records and then goes into the song.
That's actually my note about At the Bottom of Everything is, do we really need the talky bit?
Exactly.
It works. Like, have you ever seen the video?
No.
It works for the video. Because it's a video.
Right.
There's a visual aspect to it.
Right.
But if you're driving in the car listening to this fucking album, you don't need the talky bit. You can go right into when the first verse of the song kicks in my opinion.
Yeah.
In the video it works though, because you can tell a visual story with the song. In the video, the people who are having the conversation that takes place at the beginning of the song are Evan Rachel Wood and Malcolm McDowell.
Oh, okay. Well, it's funny you say that. Okay. I've never seen the video, so I wouldn't know. I am switching up to a Founders All Day Crimson Sky, which is a session red IPA. Actually, when I bought this, I bought a like a mixed 12-pack of IPAs.
I was really confused. I was like, how is this going to link back to Evan Rachel Wood?
Oh, I'll get there, but I gotta go. Well, actually, I'm going to talk about like famous people connected to this.
Gotcha.
But so when I bought this mixed 12-pack of Founders IPAs, the reason I bought it was because it has a session red IPA, and excuse me, I've never seen a red IPA. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to try it. And it's pretty good. It's actually, of the whole 12-pack, it's probably actually the least best beer. It's like, it's good, but it's
You're
like...
not a huge IPA fan, I feel like.
I'm getting more into IPAs.
I remember for a while you weren't a fan.
I would not fucking go... Well, so...
And then you know what I think it was? I think you had... And I may have given it to you. I may be thinking of someone else completely. but you weren't a fan of IPAs, and then I'm pretty sure I gave you an IPA by a local Philly. Actually, Paul mentioned Fishtown, a Fishtown brewery called Evil Genius, called Han Shot First.
I've had Han Shot First, but that's actually not where I got an IPAs.
Oh, okay.
I do like Han Shot First.
Then I'm thinking of somebody else completely.
Yes, you are. Katie, actually, my wife, Katie, got me into IPAs because she is a very good beer drinker. And when we started dating, I'm like, I guess I'm going to have to try some other stuff. What I didn't realize is there's so many different types of IPAs.
Yeah.
So there are some IPAs where I'm still like, no, fuck that. I'm not drinking that. I can't think of any offhand. But I learned about New England IPAs, hazy IPAs, West Coast IPAs. Now there's a red IPA. No. So like as I learned more about them, I'm like, okay, this is like, I get this. There's certain ones I like.
At a certain point, though, it sounds like they're just making shit up. Like,
oh yeah,
almost like genres of like, oh, it's post metal grindcore. Yeah. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yes.
Like.
Yes. Now, at one point it does get ridiculous, but yeah. So no. There's actually a fair amount of IPAs I like. There's still some I won't go near, and what I usually where I'll test the waters is if my wife is drinking a beer, which she doesn't do too much anymore because we have a newborn, and she's breastfeeding, and she's on a wine kick as well, which I'm always on a wine kick, but at any rate, she would like be drinking, and I was like, would I like it? And she looks at me, she's like, no. And she's not being selfish because she wants it on herself. She knows that, like, no, he's not. If I drink this, I'm not going to like it.
I do the same thing with Katie, because Katie, with my
we
Katie.
didn't mention this. We both, I'm married to a Katie, he is dating
a
Katie.
So my Katie, your Katie is IE, my Katie is just I.
Yes.
She is a beer drinker. But she doesn't go for a lot of the craft stuff. She's very content with a PBR. A lot of times, we've actually been there's a Royal Farms by her house that we buy like the majority of our beer from, just because it's there.
Have you gotten her fried chicken?
Yeah.
Yeah, is it really that good?
It's not bad.
I haven't had it.
It's not. It's. I mean, it's. I wouldn't say world famous like they claim to be. Okay. It's not awful.
All right.
But like, you know, you're getting fried chicken at a gas station. It's not bad for them. Remember how like we talked about egg rolls from Wawa?
Yeah.
Where they're not bad because they're from Wawa, but if you got them from if I went to like some place like in the South and that's the fried chicken that they had, I'd be pissed.
Okay.
But for getting it at a gas station, it's not bad.
Well, technically it is the South because Royal Farms, well, not up here, but like Royal Farms apparently originated in Maryland, which is below the Mason-Dixon line. So it is technically the South, even though like I kind of look at Maryland as the North anyway.
Yeah.
Apparently it's supposed to be really good, like from Maryland. I don't know. I fucking love fried chicken.
It's definitely not bad. It's also nice being able to go to a gas station, and like what I get from there a lot is their breakfast sandwiches.
Okay.
Because like when I was working day shift, I would open for an entire week, so I had to be at work at 6 a.m. I'd stay at Katie's, who lives 30 to 45 minutes, depending on traffic, from my old work.
Uh-huh.
So I would wake up, go to Royal Farms, grab smokes, grab monsters, grab chicken on a biscuit with honey.
Okay.
And go to work.
All right.
So I fuck around with their breakfast sandwiches a lot, but their chicken's not terrible.
Okay, yeah, I gotta try it. We have one in Quakertown. I'm gonna have to.
I was like, why the fuck was I talking about that? But yeah, we get the majority of our beer from there, and for some reason it's either when we go, it's either do you want American or do you want Canadian? So it's either are we getting PBR or are we getting Labatt?
Well, what's funny is so we have Turkey Hill less than 5 minutes from me. And my choice is, are we getting American or are we getting Mexican?
Oh, okay.
So a lot of times I just get Modelo from there. And
I was like, depending on
highlight from Modelo. That's usually what I buy.
Depending on what Mexican they have, because in my opinion, the majority, 99.9% of Mexican beers are terrible, aside from Modelo and Dos Equis Amber.
I don't know, man. I actually like Mexican beers. I'm into them.
I don't care for them.
Overall, it's like if I go and I can't decide, I'll go with the Mexican beer. We in the last podcast we were drinking the stuff from Neshaminy Creek, and they have Mexican lager, which is fucking delicious.
Which is like what the warehouse lager is I think considered a Mexican lager.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. All right. So so back to it. Connecting Rachel Evan Woods, and Malcolm. Who is it?
Malcolm McDowell.
Okay, so you got these famous people in there.
Caligula.
There you go. What I did not know until today, and I always thought about it, I was like, so you'll hear in certain songs. There's 3 songs where you'll hear a female voice on
which
the album.
when you came in and I was pulling apart your album, it's because I was reading the liner notes to see who the female vocalist was.
So I had no idea who that was. Fucking love it. I thought it, and what I always liked about the 3 songs that this woman is on is that it's harmonies, but it's not perfect harmonies.
Yeah.
And it's I almost feel like when they did those songs, they recorded Connor doing his vocal tracks, and then they recorded the woman doing her vocal tracks and put them together, and it just fucking works. And I think that's part of the genius of this album, because this album, in a way, it's not just an indie rock album. This album really does, I think, cross genres. Mm-hmm. You have definitely an indie rock feel to it. It has a country feel to it. It has a folk feel to it. It has a rock feel to it. There's so much going on there. People can't even see your fucking party foul. Look at this. Look at this fucking guy.
I got excited.
He got excited.
It's a beer I've never had before.
I know. He got excited for a beer he never had before, and the fact that I'm going to finally tell him who the female voice is on the album is none other, and goes back to the how this album seems to hit so many genres, than Emmylou Harris.
I still don't know who that is.
I
I read the name and I'm like, I know. That's the thing. I know the name. I have no idea who it is.
Wow. Emmylou Harris is an amazing singer on her own, and is basically a huge country singer.
Okay.
Your daughter probably has no idea who she is, even though she swears she loves country. Emmylou Harris is she's been around for a long time. I think she's like 75 now, something like that. Here's a funny thing that I also found out too. Willie Nelson, quote about Emmylou Harris. He said there are 2 types of men in this world: men who love Emmylou Harris, and people who haven't met her. and I have some Emmylou Harris records that I think so at Oswald Record Garage. I have a lot of records, right? And so I'm trying to get as many listed as I can. Sometimes it becomes very difficult, even though I fucking want to. I really, truly want to. I want to listen to every single album I list for sale.
Yeah.
But that is very difficult to do, just because of time constraints and trying to get it going. And, it's just not possible. So there are albums that I will visually grade based on value. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if it's a lower value record, I don't necessarily listen to it. I'll give you a good visual description. I'll tell you that it's visually graded, but it's usually a lower price point, like less than $5 for a record.
Sorry, I'm checking beers and
it's all good. It's all good. Some of the albums though it doesn't just because something's at a lower price point doesn't automatically mean that I'm not going to listen to it. Mm. And the albums that I have for Emmylou Harris are a lower price point for resale value. However, every single album I have of hers, I listen to.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking Emmylou Harris and the shit's good. We never got our coasters. Mm-mm. I just realized that as you fucking have
I know.
Beer ring.
Ooh. So while Paul's talking about coasters, another beer that I picked up on the way over here is Grand Cacao by Cacao. It's a local brewery. How far Hershey from here?
It's about 2 hours.
Man. 2 hours away from here. Hershey, Pennsylvania. It's called Trogs. Paul and I actually had the benefit of having essentially a private tour. Yes. Because we didn't know that you have to make reservations to tour a brewery.
Mm-hmm. But they do have one public tour every day.
They have one walk-in tour, and Paul and I just happened to get there 15 minutes before it started, and nobody else fucking signed up for it. So it was literally just some guy from the brewery walked me and Paul through the brewery, like by ourselves.
We got a private tour without it supposed to be private of Trogs.
Now, the only downside is that we were there on a Sunday, and they don't brew on Sunday.
Right, they don't brew. Right. But we still got to try some beers on the way. We got a cool glass at the end of the tour. So if you take your kids to Hershey Park, you can drop
Trogs is literally right up the street.
You can drop them off at the wave pool and then go over to Trogs, and get the brown butter popcorn.
Oh, dude! Every time I talk about Trogs beer, I talk about their fucking brown butter popcorn at that brewery.
That shit was so good. But yeah, no, that was cool. That was a good time. And yes, I've had this beer before. I bought I buy a lot of sampler packs, and this was part of it. And it's decent. I'm not huge on chocolate porters or chocolate stouts.
I enjoy them. I gave it a 4 out of 5. If you want to follow me on Untapped, A_WIESE.
Wait, do you follow me on Untapped?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Now that I think about it, I do follow you, but I just completely forgot to let me edit this real quick.
Yeah. So I am on Untapped. I actually don't even know what I'm under. What is my thing? Because I'm on there so infrequently.
I'll tell you in a second because I'm about to tag you
and
with you.
So you can follow me if you want. But make sure you cheers my check-ins. If people are going to do that, I will make sure I post more of the beers I'm drinking.
I think you're listed as H Paul 3.
Oh, H Paul 3. There you go. So look up on Untapped H Paul 3. But so Emmylou Harris is the voice on there, and I did not know that until today when I was looking, doing a little bit of research for the for this episode, and it's amazing, and it made so much sense because of how I thought was the kind of multiple genres that this album really does. It hits, and it really is. It's really just like a smooth sailing album.
Do you have like a paper towel around here that's not those cloths?
No, just use the cloth. It's fine. I'll just wash it. I gotta wash them anyway. Adam's trying to be all nice.
Well, no, because I want to clean off my ring that I'm creating so then I can then get a coaster.
Yes. So, actually, grab me one, too. So, Adam sometimes is very creative. Just grab me one at random. All right, I'll just grab
You take it at random. Pick a card, any card.
All right. So, what happens is, like I said, back to, listing records, right? So, I try to listen to them, and sometimes they skip. And sometimes, people don't want to buy a record that skips. Or sometimes it's just one of those things where I'm just like, there's no market for these records. Nobody wants this record, maybe somebody does, but ultimately it's a low value, and, it'll be on my shelf for years before someone actually buys it. So I got the idea that I would have Adam turn the records into coasters. So we have a whole stack here. I have a whole bunch of other albums for him to turn into coasters. So my coaster here today is John Milton, Paradise Lost, books 2 and 3, which I'm assuming was an audio book on vinyl. So there you go. So that is mine. This actually looks really cool. I like the old Caedmon, I guess that's how you spell it or say it, Caedmon, is the record label. It's got the blue and the green. I think that's pretty cool. So that's mine. What do you got?
Correct me if I'm pronouncing this improperly. Ferrante and Teacher?
Thatcher, I think, or Tetcher, something like that. Yeah.
Killing Me Softly?
There you go. So, yeah, nice United Artists Records. We'll show it up there. Boom. There you go. So, there we go. So, we have a whole stack of them, and like I said, I have a whole bunch more for you to do too, and we'll probably get into content like that.
A lot of Columbia.
Yes. Well, that's one of the biggest record labels at the time. So.
It's true.
So, all right. So, back to the Bright Eyes album. What are your top 3 favorite songs from this album? And then we'll discuss them.
I thought about this a lot on the way up. Number 1 for me is Poison Oak.
Okay.
Number 1 is definitely Poison Oak. Number 2 and number 3 are probably interchangeable for me, but I'd probably go Road to Joy for 2 and or 3, and then I'll probably gonna go just because I enjoy playing the song so much, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but I'm probably gonna go First Day of My Life.
Oh, you fuck idea you're going there. Yeah. All right, go on. So let's hear. Okay. So first of all, so your first one was Poison Oak.
Yeah.
Okay, so Poison Oak, I had 2 songs from it at number 3, and Poison Oak was one of them. I ended up going with the other one, not even knowing what you were putting there, but I ended up, when I listened to it today, I went back. So Poison Oak, what's the second one?
It's interchangeable. Road to Joy.
So Road to Joy is like I've already said. It's probably my
yeah.
least favorite songs on the album.
Yeah.
I appreciate the whole Beethoven reference and this, that, and the other thing. It's just it's in my opinion, it's probably worse than the first song. It is the worst song on this album, but still better than some of the best songs on other albums, as you had said. And then the third one is First Day of My Life.
Yeah.
Okay, so First, let me just say here about this song.
I say I'm surprised that like First Day of My Life isn't on the bottom of your list.
It's not. It's not. Yeah. It's not on the bottom of the list because overall it is a great song. Yeah. It really is. It's a great song.
Have you seen the video for that?
I've not.
That's a good video too.
I have not seen a lot of videos. Since
I think in retrospect, now that's something I'm also going to try and do. I'm going to try to watch the videos for all of the singles.
Cool.
On the album.
Cool. So First Day of My Life, great song. Really, really great song. Really well written. Some fucking weird chords in there that I don't know how to play.
Yeah, that's a lot of Bright Eyes.
Yeah, which is amazing. Which is great. The musicianship is great. Songwriting is great. Here is the thing that bothers me about that song.
What's that?
Is that I read that there was an NPR what's it called? An NPR survey of like the best like love songs. And that was rated like by listeners as like the top love song according to like NPR. And I get it. Yes, it's a love song, but it's kind of like a fucked up way to look at relationships, man. When you like I get it. Okay, yeah, it's my first day of life. Da, 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 you know, I'm so happy I found you. But hey, at the same time, why don't you just settle for me?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, fuck, why would you settle? Like
the lyric that I wrote down is, with these things, there's no telling. You just have to wait and see. I'd rather be working for a paycheck than waiting to win the lottery.
Yeah, you know, I've been around.
It's like, you're not looking for that fairy tale, glass slipper kind of love. You're looking for the love you're looking for that settle. Like, I'm settling and I'm learning to love you.
There's something to be said about that, right? But at the same token, I've been around long enough to fucking know that I you know, and I did. I won the lottery. You know what I mean? Yeah. I am so fucking done trying to work for a paycheck. Working for the paycheck, I'm gonna do after I've hit the fucking lottery. You know what I mean? So I've and maybe it's just because like, you know, where I am in my life, but like when I like think about that line in particular, it's like, no, fuck that. No, hit the lottery.
Yeah.
And just because you hit the lottery doesn't solve all your problems. You still got to work on shit.
Yeah.
So my personal advice as a father and as an old fucking man who listens to music is hit the fucking lottery and then work for your paycheck. Do it. You know what I mean? Like, it just, I don't know. It just bothered me that was like considered like the top love song. Like,
well, you know,
fuck that noise.
The note that I took on my initial listen to the album, my note for this song is every white girl loves this song.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
And the reason why I picked this is because A, I enjoy playing it, but B, if you are an aspiring guitar player who also has a thing for a girl or a guy or anybody, play this fucking song for them, you're gonna get laid.
Well, that's the thing. You know, I think people forget that. Like, most people get into music to get laid.
Yeah.
Boy, men and women. That's not. I mean, I know the music industry is unfortunately, and I do say this, I truly mean it, is unfortunately male dominated. I see changes of that happening. I hope that continues to change. But you know, everybody gets into music to get fucking laid and to get attention.
I mean, honestly,
you know what I mean?
It's kind of, you know who says it? You know who says it best? In Dazed and Confused, they're talking about how it's right after they give them the pledge, the football players the pledge to like not drink or do drugs or whatever like that, and Pink gets all fucking like bent out of shape about it. Yeah. And he's like, why don't we just like start a band? He's like, I'll bet you we do just as well with the chicks if like we were in a band or something. Like, everybody does.
And it's the truth.
Everybody does everything to get laid.
Yeah.
No matter what it is. Play sports, play music.
Yeah.
Do whatever fucking your hobby is, and you're doing it to get laid.
And it's one of those things where like you get into it to get laid, and then a very small percentage, get into it to get laid, but it's like, oh fuck, I could actually make some money doing this, and it becomes their career, which is pretty awesome. So my top 3 favorite songs on this album are: number 1 is "We Are Nowhere and It's Now."
Yeah.
Number 2, "Lua." Fucking love that song. Number 3, I had a mix between these two songs. One was Poison Oak, and after listening to it today, I took it off, and it's Landlocked Blues.
Landlocked Blues. So the 3, actually 4. When I first got an acoustic guitar, the 4 songs I learned how to play off this album are "We Are Nowhere and It's Now," "Landlocked Blues," "Poison Oak," and "At the Bottom of Everything," in that order.
Okay.
It is a very they're Landlocked Blues and "We Are Nowhere and It's Now." They both have the female.
Yes.
Have Emmylou
Harris.
Harris. Harris. They're both really good songs. The notes I have for them when for We Are Nowhere and It's Now, the drums in it are really fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
She takes a small silver reef and pins it onto me and says, "This one will bring you luck." I don't know if it's true, but I keep it for good luck. I like the idea of like someone gives you something that they believe in, and you don't believe in it, but you're gonna hang on to it for the just in case it fucking it actually does fucking work.
It's like Catholicism.
Yeah, exactly. Where's Landlocked Blues? Landlocked Blues. I used to play the song. This is like one of the first Bright Eyes songs I learned how to play. Bright Eyes songs kind of like this and Lua, especially Lua and this are like to when I think Bright Eyes songs, I think of those two songs, because Bright Eyes songs a lot of times will be in. When I first started playing guitar and I first started writing songs, in my head, the way you wrote a song was verse, chorus, bridge, repeat. To quote
Tim Barry.
Yes. And there was a different chord progression for your verse and a different chord progression for your chorus, a different chord progression for your bridge. When I first started listening to Bright Eyes, I realized, oh shit, you don't have to write songs like that.
Yep.
Because Bright Eyes is literally the same guitar riff the entire time, the same chord progression and strumming pattern pretty much the entire time.
Depending on the song, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
this album, that's a lot. Yeah.
Landlocked Blues and Lou are two of the biggest criminals of that in that stance. So in reality, like I love Landlocked Blues, but in reality, it's kind of a boring song.
I mean, I get no, and that's
it's boring in the sense of like it's the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
But I love the song. I love there's kids playing guns in there's kids playing guns in the street and one's pointing his tree branch at me.
Yep. Well, and I think that's what I like
Yeah.
about that, because like I've been in that situation. It's like, yo, dude, this is done. You go that way, I go my way, and just like let's just fucking like clean break. And same thing, like it's funny because as much as I said like, you know, First Day of My Life is a fucked up way to look at relationships. Lua is actually probably the dude is probably or whatever it's supposed to be, is probably the most fucking honest in a relationship, and it's probably like, hey, you get that kind of honesty. This person's a mess, but maybe I should look into this a little more. When the line is basically like me, I'm not a gamble. You can count on me to split. Like, listen, I'm gonna fucking tell you, the love I show you in the evening, in the morning it doesn't exist. There's some I'm a really comfort in honesty about.
I'm a really big fan of because the lyric I wrote down for Lure was, "We might die from medication, but at least we killed the pain." In what is normal in the evening by the morning sounds insane.
Yeah.
I love
which I've been in those situations.
Yeah. I really love the whole. That's throughout the entire song is something in the evening is something at nighttime is different by the daytime.
Yep.
I think it's not only like him, like you said, being honest with, look, the one thing you can count on is that you can't count on me.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like it like that's why I specifically picked this line, because he's talking about we might die from medication, but at least we killed the pain. Like you're like the one thing you can count on is that like I'm gonna flake. I'm not gonna be there, and when I am, I'm gonna be fucked up.
Yep.
And like I just like the and when I'm fucked up, everything sounds great. Like I love you.
Yep.
But in the morning when I'm sober, I don't want to do it.
And it's a weird comfort in the honesty of that song. So those are my top 3 songs there.
What was I said Poison Oak, Road to Joy, and First Day of My Life.
First Day of My Life. Yeah.
Poison Oak. My note was literally just that might be my favorite album on the song on the album. I'm glad you got away, but I'm still stuck here. My clothes are soaking wet from your brother's tears. I like the idea of like the way he's talking about like essentially suffering. Like he's being inconvenient. His clothes are soaking wet from your brother's tears.
Right.
He's being inconvenienced by shit that's not even his shit.
Yep.
I really enjoyed that. Road to Joy. My note was just fuck it up, always make some noise.
Yeah.
I always
so that's the song where like I said, like I felt like how I said earlier, like I felt this album was very easy to write, and probably again, I'm just basing this on my own experience of writing music and writing songs. Whereas I feel like this album was probably, it came along very easily, except that Road to Joy feels like they're trying and it's a little overproduced.
Yeah.
The compared to the rest of the album.
I might be so bold as to say Road to Joy, and again, I'm saying this as this being one of my top 3 favorite songs on the album. Road to Joy, in retrospect now, like, when I first listened to the song in 2005, 2006, I love the song, and I was like, oh, that's awesome that he did that. But, he played off of Ode to Joy. In retrospect now, as a 32-year-old man who, like, has lived more than a fucking 15-year-old boy, it seems kind of gimmicky.
Yeah, okay. No, all right. Listen, let's just talk about that last statement there for a second. As a 15-year-old boy, you lived way more than a lot of 30-year-old men.
It's true.
So
yeah, it's true. But I've had more life experience than the life experience I had when I was 15.
There you go.
But it seems almost kind of gimmicky at this, like, in a way.
Yeah.
The lyric I wrote down was honestly, and it might just be because this was like the first song. Me and Zach always talk about how that your initial exposure to a band is always generally going to be your favorite version of that band.
Right. Yep.
So it might just be because this was the first song by Bright Eyes I heard.
Okay.
But this lyric has always stuck out to me as a Bright Eyes lyric. Was I have my drugs, I have my woman that keep away my loneliness. My parents, they have their religion, but sleep in separate houses.
And like lyrically, it's a good song. I just that's some cool phrasing there.
Poison Oak might be my favorite Bright Eyes song to play.
Okay.
I love the way that what's it called? It starts off kind of slow, kind of melancholy, and then has that crescendo part. I've always loved that because, like, I've said to people, I've told them to listen to that song, and I was like, a lot of times in shit, people just sound like they're playing it to play it and get it done.
Yep.
To me, when you listen to Poison Oak, you can actually hear emotion behind it.
Yep.
Which I've always enjoyed.
Which is, like I said, that's why it almost made it on my top 3, and that's why, like, literally, like, with my pad here. So Adam's all fancy and millennial and puts things on his little was that Chromebook or whatever that is?
It's a Chromebook.
I
fucking hate Chromebooks, by the way.
And I gotta write all my shit down on.
Well, normally what I do, because I take notes, I've been taking notes for this the same way I take notes for Summer Movie Club, and I just put it all on my notes. If you go onto my notes app on my phone, I have every movie that we've ever covered. I have notes for every movie that we've ever covered on Summer Movie Club, and now I have 3 folders, just general notes, which is just bullshit, and usually ends up being scorecards for, like, when me and Katie play baseball, when we play darts, or when we play rummy or something like that. And then I have a Summer Movie Club folder, and now a Country Hipster folder.
Nice. Nice. Oh, so, speaking of darts, to cut you off, I'm thinking Particle. I'm looking at the Outside Record Garage where our dartboard will eventually go, and you will be able to, we'll show it every now and then. But I'm thinking just like regular Particle board, like the fucking doors here.
Yeah, that's not Particle board.
That's not Particle board.
That's OSB.
Oh,
it stands for Oriented Strand Board. Basically, it's just little tiny strips of wood all pressed together with resin.
Well, that's cheaper, right?
It might be now. In the heart of COVID, like, normally a sheet of that would be like $15.
Okay.
When, like, COVID was in full swing, that shit was like $60 a sheet.
Was it really? Oh, yeah. Shit. Okay. Well,
like, lumber prices went up, and it wasn't even the lumber part of it that's expensive. It was the resin part of it that was making it so expensive. But like, a sheet of that during the height of COVID was like as expensive as some like hardwood plywoods are.
Oh shit!
In the normal times.
Okay. Well, at any rate,
I think it's gone down, and I think it may be like $20 a sheet.
Whatever the cheapest shit is we can do, we can put over there and still hang the dartboard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that way, when we get drunk and we miss the dartboard, I don't fucking care. So, and we'll probably put tons of stickers on it and stuff like that too. Yeah. But you can't see that, so that doesn't really help you with the visual.
It's not there yet, but you guys
we just have like
fucking
solid,
hold your horses.
One shot
chill
the whole time. So yeah, fucking, you know.
Linda.
Yes,
Linda.
Linda.
Listen.
Oh, not Karen. Linda, huh? God damn.
You know that video?
No.
Oh, it's just like little kid. Like this woman's like yelling at the kid, and the kid's just like, Linda, listen. You never saw that before?
No, I never saw that before. I'll have to look that up. So, so overall thoughts. We love Bright Eyes. I'm wide awake. It's morning. I personally hate the rest of the Bright Eyes albums. We will at some point. We're not going to talk about which album it is, but there is, and it is in our whole full podcast. This is the only album where we have crossover artists of in Adam's albums and my albums of the 25 each.
Although I did think you mentioned when we recorded the pilot, if I hadn't already included an album in my 25, it would have been your album that you gifted to somebody.
Yes,
because you gifted it to me.
Yes, absolutely. So, so one of the things we want to talk about too, and we're going to do, as far as just keeping, and you know what, it doesn't matter. It's just fun. It's just a fun thing to do. So, one of the things we're going to keep track of is with our albums, and honestly, like we literally, I didn't look it up. I didn't look up any of this. I didn't look up Adam's albums. I didn't look up my albums. Is the overall value of our 25 albums, or like the resale value of them, not the original value, because, you know, depending on the album, some have gone up, some have gone down, and the way that I always find the value of an album is that I look it up on Discogs, right? And so
what Paul's about to start talking about, because he's pulling the record out, I had no idea. I just thought, I've always seen it, had no fucking clue, and then Paul taught me what all of the bullshit on the inside, the little blank space on the inside of the record means.
So for people who don't know, right? So, you know, you have your album, it has the different grooves, it's pressed with the wax, and then there is between where the songs end and the label of the album, it's called the dead wax, right? For those of you who are familiar,
is that what it's like? Is that like a?
Yeah, it's a dead wax.
It's a good name for a punk band.
There might be
There
probably is a punk band called the Dead Wax.
I'm gonna Google it while you're talking.
So go off topic. Another cool, like, wait, no, fuck it. We talked about it in the pilot. My Black Cat Stevens. We talked about that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, fuck it. I'm not gonna talk about it again. I'm Irish and German, and as an Irishman, I tend to tell stories, the same stories over and over again. I will start to tell a story, and my wife.
There is a band called Dead Wax, which is a good fucking punk band.
I will start to tell a story, and my wife will go like, "Yeah, you already told me about this." I'm like, "Well, no. Well, did I tell you this part?" She's like, "You already told me about that part." So, you know, but at any rate,
I can also say my girlfriend does the same thing to me, but luckily, I don't know how your Katie is, but my Katie is nice enough to go, "You've told me this already, but go ahead."
We're married, so no, she just stops me, and we have a newborn, so she doesn't have time for my bullshit.
Yeah,
you know, that's what it comes down to. So, but at any rate, if you are new to record collecting, or you're new to Discogs, or you want to resell your records, or you just want to see what the value of your record is, or, you know, maybe you just want to know what are those little fucking numbers in. So in the dead wax, which is between where the grooves are, where the songs end, and the label, sometimes, or most times, there's numbers. Okay, a lot of those numbers are catalog numbers, which come from the record label. They also come from the pressing plant. The older records, so when you get into records from the 50s, 60s, 70s, that was the only way to tell what label, what pressing plant it was from, what, you know, the when it was pressed. Is it a repress? Is it original pressing? And there were a lot more, obviously, back in the day, because you had vinyl records. That's how you listen to music. So there were a lot more pressing plants. Pressing plants. I've been drinking a little bit.
No.
So most of the used records that I have, a lot of the older records I have, because of this area, are either Pittman pressings or Terre Haute or Terre Haute. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
How's it spelled?
Haute.
H-A-U-T?
Yeah.
I would say Haute.
T-E. Yeah, I'd probably say Haute too. So a lot of them. So
actually, I might say hot.
Yeah,
because AU is like audio.
Okay, there you go.
So I might say hot.
So there you go. So Terre Haute and Pittman pressings. When I get into the real old ones, I've had some like Sinatra stuff. Are Scranton pressing. So like I guess there was a pressing plant in Scranton, Pennsylvania. The same place where they did what's that fucking show?
The Office.
The Office. There you go. I was gonna say Office Space, but
Yeah.
I knew that wasn't right.
I believe you have Miss Stabler.
Yes, but Miss Stabler. But at any rate, so sometimes there are there's always the catalog number, and sometimes it's a side. Sometimes there's other little notes in there to kind of make it special to the pressing, like whatever it is. So that's ultimately how you verify what records you have. So when I'm looking at stuff, I go on to Discogs, I go to the section where you can list an item for sale. Whether you're buying or you're selling, you have access to that. You put in the catalog number, and sometimes you have fucking 50 different versions of an album come out. Sometimes there's one or two. In the 80s, late 70s, very late 70s, and not many records it worked on, but in the late 70s and then into the 80s, became when the UPC and the barcode became a big deal. Which, by the way, did you know that the UPC and the barcode was created at Drexel University, right here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania?
Huh.
And it was created. This is the useless fucking knowledge I have as a 46-year-old dad. The reason it was created was as a way to keep track of inventory in grocery stores.
Makes sense.
And it came from Drexel University, of the barcode and the scanner. So in the 80s, that made its way to records. So generally, if you have something that was pressed in the 80s, you can look it up by the barcode.
Oh, okay.
And then it comes up and it'll show you all the different pressings, but then you have to look at the dead wax to verify which pressing you have, because even in the 80s there was still a ton of pressing plants. There's Pittman, there was Terre Haute,
and from what you've told me before, like there's people who like some plants made better pressings than others, so there's people who only will collect from a certain plant,
which is true, and that is still the case. So even though there's a limited number of pressing plants, although there are more opening up, and from what I actually just read the other day, Metallica, the band, bought a vinyl record.
They bought Napster.
They bought Napster. No, they bought a vinyl record pressing plant.
Oh, okay.
So I mean,
where?
I don't know. I didn't look.
I don't know where Metallica's originated from. So
I wasn't surprised. I don't know where the fuck.
No.
I know that they one of the cool things, I think it is the Master of Puppets. Is it Master of Puppets or Ride the Light? I think it's Master of Puppets. They actually take a picture on a bridge. It has the four of them on this bridge. Well, that bridge is up in Trenton, New Jersey. It is the Trenton Takes. Okay. There's a bridge, and on there, and in
what's
Trenton,
the name of that bridge? Because I always refer to it as the Trenton.
I don't know if it has a real name. That's how I But there's this bridge in New Jersey that connects Pennsylvania to New Jersey, and specifically Marsville to Trenton, New Jersey. And there's a bridge that has these big red letters across that says Trenton makes, the world takes. So that their picture on the back of that album, which I believe is Master of Puppets, is filmed on that bridge, or taken on that bridge, because they recorded that album in the studio, I believe, in New Hope, Pennsylvania, which is also in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, where I live, and probably about a half hour from where I am in Ottsville, Pennsylvania. Is it Master of Puppets?
I don't know.
He's looking it up. All right. Well, at any rate, so you use the dead wax, and that's how you verify the pressing. This one was easy. So what actually made this even easier? Like I said,
no, that's not. That's
okay, it must be one of the other ones. At any rate, so what made this one easier for me to figure out which version of the Bright Eyes album I had, and I was able to determine it was the 2016 remastered version, was the barcode. So a lot of times when you redo pressings, even though it's like a different version, like you might have like a 1985 version and then like a 2005 version of an album, whatever it is, they'll still have the same barcode. This one, for whatever reason, the 2016 remastered versions did not. It has a separate barcode than the 2005 version and also the 2014 repressing. So I was able to very quickly determine that I have a 2016 remastered version, which was remastered by Bob Ludwig, which we talked about earlier, and has been discontinued. So the version I have is no longer in press. So you can't get the 2016 remastered version. We had mutually agreed that regardless, we were going to set our condition of the records of the media as very good plus. So there's all the different conditions of media, from mint, which is an unopened album, to poor, which is an album that is just shit, that has a lot of noise and a lot of pops and a lot of skips. Just because, like, technically, if I were to, as an outsider, sell my version of this album, I would probably actually put it at near mint, because I know how much I've played it, when I've played it, the condition it's in, I can look at it. But for fairness across the board, we're putting it at very good plus. So I'm actually jumping right in and fucking kicking ass on the value square, because when I put this into Discogs today, my very good value for my copy of this album, the suggested retail, comes up as $78 fucking dollars.
Really?
$78 for the version that I have right now in the condition that it's in.
Just out of curiosity, how quickly could you look up the value of a record?
Very quickly.
All right, can you real quick, while we're on the air, look up the value of mine, just so we can see whose version of A Wide Awake It's Morning is worth more?
Yep. Let's see.
Mine doesn't have a barcode on it.
Yours does not have a barcode. And I do not see the catalog number. Usually the catalog number will be on the spine.
Oh, wait.
Be on the back.
LBJ72?
J72?
Yeah, LBJ-72.
Oh, there you go. LBJ-72. Doing this right now. We're going to do it, the format on vinyl. We're going to hit search. Oh, there it is. Okay, so like I said, I believed yours was an original pressing. This is the 580 gram vinyl, and on this I can go down and I can see the different barcodes and other identifiers. This cover does not have a barcode on it, but it probably had a sleeve similar to mine. And I'm going to look at the etchings. LBG 72-B. There's the KPG at ATM. There is, yep. So this is indeed a 2000, as confirmed by the etchings on the dead wax, which we just talked about. This is a 2005 pressing. It's 180 gram vinyl, which is generally a little bit better vinyl. Yours, if we put it in, at the very good. Now, this does not count towards Adam's numbers.
No, this is just out of curiosity, because we both have the same album.
So yours is $26. Suggested retail on Discogs is $26.
Really?
Yes. The median price of it right now is $50, and the average is $51.65. Near mint would be about $100. Right now, there's 24 listed for sale. But it's suggested retail, and they do their suggested retail based off of the overall sale history of that version of that pressing. So yours, being the 2005 180 gram pressing, is worth $26. Mine, being the 2016 remastered version, probably because of that Bob Ludwig guy, is worth $78.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's interesting to me that an original pressing of it will be less than a remastered version of it.
Depends on the artist.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. So right now I have the lead at 78-0, and that is only because this is our first episode. We did discuss this, and I actually said that I felt overall that Adam's 25 records, their value will actually be higher than my 25 records. Reason being is because, like, I've looked at what he has. He has a lot more newer releases, a lot more newer stuff. Some of the stuff I picked. Did you just fart?
No, I went.
Oh, okay.
I suck my teeth a lot. Sorry.
So, I have some new pressings, re-releases, original pressings, but I have also a fair amount of older used vinyl in there as well, and not necessarily of artists that are necessarily considered desirable. You know. But so that's where we are right now. I am at $78.
That's really fucking amazing to me that like you could, like set fucking almost $80 for a fucking Bright Eyes album. It's fucking wild to me.
It is wild. Well, okay. So here's the thing. Yes, if I were to list my personal copy for sale, I would probably list it around that price, right? But it's my copy. It's mine. I'm not getting rid of it. Here's the cool fucking thing, though, that we are doing here in regards to the Country Hipster podcast is that all of the records that we talk about, if you go to OttsvilleRecordGarage.com, which at this point I'm still working on building the inventory, but it is a live website, and also by the time this launches, I hope to have been updated as much as I want to that I really start promoting it. You can actually go onto the website. You can go down to the bottom and look about the Country Hipster podcast. And in there is a link of the albums that we have discussed on the Country Hipster podcast. Right now, there's a few albums on there, and I did not update the...
But it's funny because there's 3 albums, and we've only talked about 2 because Paul's an idiot.
Yes, because I'm an idiot, yes. So, you can go to the Country Hipster website, and you can go to that section, and you can go to Bright Eyes, I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning, and it is currently available for $24.99. This is not the 2016 repressing. This is another repressing of this album that is available, but still probably sounds amazing. Looks like actually this one is the 2022 release because I do have the release date listed there, and it is available to purchase for $24.99 from Ottsville Record Garage. Now, I don't currently, at the time of the recording of this podcast, I do not currently have it in stock. However, it is available from the distributor. I know that because I put it on my shelf for my next shipment from the distributor to get it in-house here at the Ottsville Record Garage. So what's kind of cool is if you go to any of our listings, if you go on to OttsvilleRecordGarage.com and you go to a used record, if I have it in here in the garage, you're going to be able to purchase it right there. Used records, because I have them. I have thousands of used records here. I'm in the process of updating the inventory and getting that all listed onto the website. I'm not there yet as of the time we're recording this. Hopefully by the time you're seeing this, I am there or in the process of being there at a comfortable level at any rate. But new records, it's a little bit more difficult. So I don't carry a ton of new records in stock, but what I do have is a section where you can get notified when it becomes available. So if you were to go on the website right now and if I at that time do not have a copy of Bright Eyes, I'm Wide Awake in Morning, It's Morning, I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning, there is a red tab that you can click that says notify me when it's available. So you click on that tab, you put on your email address. If you want to send me a little message that says, hey, Paul, you're a douchebag and your opinions on music is stupid, that's fine too.
It's accurate.
I will see, number one, that you think I'm a douchebag. I will also see, number two, that you are interested in purchasing this record. What I will do is I will then turn around and I will order that record from a distributor and get it into the garage.
Or maybe not if you call him a douchebag. But
no, actually, I probably still will.
Yeah.
So then I get it into the garage. I receive it into my inventory. And then as soon as I receive it into my inventory, without me doing another fucking thing, I've automated it so that you then receive an email that says, hey, you wanted to know when Bright Eyes, I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning is in stock. At that point, if you have the money and you want to purchase it, you know exactly where you can go to get it. If you don't, no big it's not your problem. It's my problem. I'll have it on my shelf until someone wants to buy it. So I don't do pre-orders. I'm not going to sell you something that I don't have on hand, but you can know that I'll try to get it in for you. And when I get it in, you'll know it's in. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do here. This album here, it will be updated. So it jumps on the Country Hipster podcast albums on the website here. And we'll continue updating that as we go along. And yeah, that's it. That's the commercial for the Ottsville Record Garage. Congratulations. OttsvilleRecordGarage.com. Also, we're on Discogs. So if you look up Ottsville Rec Garage, because they only give you so many characters, you will find us as well. Look us up on Instagram. You can also look up the Country Hipster on TikTok. And so what's up with the Summer Movie Club? What's going on with you guys right now?
What the hell is up with those? I have an episode that I have to edit. I can't remember if we talked about it in the pilot, but the parent that Paul and I share, our dad, spent some time in the hospital right after the Christmas holiday. And so Zach and I took a break from the summer movie club because him being in the hospital, I got promoted. Zach was courting suitors, if you will. So we took a pause. We've since come back. We released an episode on Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars Episode 5. And we just recorded an episode, which I'm probably going to release tomorrow, on Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
Nice.
And I think I actually have to watch the movie. I think the plan is to record tomorrow as well, which means I have to watch a very shitty movie from 1996 called The Warriors of Virtue, which I picked to cover, so I can't really talk that much shit about it. But it's just shitty by nature.
Naughty by nature.
Naughty by nature.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, it's I feel like I found the loophole. And this is where I always refer to my brother Zach as my best friend. So I started a podcast with him so I could set aside time where I could sit down and talk to my best friend about one of the things we enjoy the most.
Season one's always been chopped liver, if you were wondering.
I've always said that of season 1 and season 2, me and Paul probably get along the most.
Probably, yeah.
So now I have another podcast where I have scheduled time to sit down and talk to another one of my best friends.
There you go.
So, right.
I will say, just like, I mean, the whole dynamic of season 1, season 2, even though I'm part of season 1, there's two older in season 1, Michael and then Brian, who's no longer with us. Brian, rest in peace. Yeah. And then season 2, there's Zach, Kylie, and Adam. Of both seasons, I probably identify the most with you as well. So there you go. We're being brotherly love here.
I mean, when you think about it, we're both the youngest.
Mm-hmm. Both the greatest.
We're both the best of the seasons.
Coolest seasons. Best backstories of both seasons.
Yeah.
I think we're probably the main characters of our seasons.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, like, I was just thinking in terms of we're both the youngest. We're both musically, we both were very similar because we both play just a menagerie of bullshit. We both have an affinity for vinyl.
Yes.
But even when you get deeper, we both, I mean, I had a kid younger than you did, but we both had our first children very young.
Out of wedlock and very young indeed, yes.
We're both raging alcoholics.
That is pretty evident tonight.
So yeah, it's not just the hobbies that we have this similar interest in, but our lives are very mirror. We're both divorced.
Yes. So. Well, are you officially divorced? You still working? Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah! Congratulations! Yeah. All right. Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, we both have we both have 3 kids. We're both divorced. We're both trying to figure out our lives post that bullshit.
There you go. Yeah. I think I figured out mine.
I'm still getting there.
You're still working on it.
Yeah, I'm still working on it.
All right, so to wrap things up, let's bring out the box of Michael, the crudely box of brush.
I wish I had a top so I could spin it better.
Yeah, right. So I'm gonna mix these up some more, right? And so I picked the first one, right? So Adam is gonna pick the next one, and then we're gonna see what our next episode is. Just so you guys know, the intention of these episodes is to be about 45 minutes to an hour long, right? Our pilot episode before editing has clocked in around an hour and 47 minutes. Right now we are at an hour and 43 minutes on this one. And you might just have to hang out with us for a while. So
looking at it, just before I open it, I'm pretty sure this is my handwriting, because a lot of times when I have number 48. Sorry, number 48. I blocked the microphone with my arm.
48.
A lot of times when I make my number 8s, I tend to not close the top of them. So I
Okay.
think this might actually be one of mine.
We will see as to what season 1, episode 2 will be all
Just out
about.
of curiosity, how do you open an envelope? Do you open it from the top or do you open it from the side?
The top.
Oh, I open it from the side.
Says the man who hates greeting cards.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is definitely my handwriting.
This is yours?
Oh, we talked about him on this episode. Do you want to take a guess? Who did we talk about on this episode?
I don't know. I've been drinking and I got to piss.
For the next episode, we'll be covering Willie Nelson's Stardust.
Oh, Willie Nelson Stardust.
Yeah.
All right, go grab it. Go grab it from your side there.
Let's find out where the fuck it is.
All right, so I'm going to take my copy, my album here, Bright Eyes. These are all of my albums that my 25 over there where Adam is going through is his 25, and I'm going to move it over.
Oh, fuck, wait, I can't find it.
So as we go about this podcast here, you will see these move over. Now, if you're just listening to our podcast and not actually watching the video, you will not know what we're talking about. So I'll be Mr. Radio visual a little bit. We have 2 cases behind us that have a smattering of vinyl records. Adam is now holding up his copy of Willie Nelson Stardust. I'm actually pretty fucking excited about this. One of the cool things about this podcast with, like our age difference.
What did
our
I say
musical
earlier?
taste.
Columbia.
And our difference of, some bands that we probably like better than others. This is one that is from Adam's collection that I'm actually pretty excited about doing the podcast about.
Which I feel like there's maybe one other album.
Oh no, there's definitely one other album. I think there's a couple other
Yeah.
where I'm just like, oh, this will be cool too. So there you go. So episode 2 will be about Willie Nelson Stardust, and that's all we got. You got anything to add there, Adam?
No.
All right.
Should we get stoned for the next episode?
No.
No.
Well, maybe. Actually, that'd be probably pretty fitting for Willie Nelson. But okay, so on that note, this is the end of the Country Hipster podcast. My name is Paul. This is my brother Adam, and it is time to. Mama!